Washington Pod presents Earl Nightingale.
I went into a bank in Florida not long ago to cash a check. I'd never been in the bank before, and so I was ready to haul out all sorts of identification, when the manager told me that I'd been responsible for his move to Florida from the Northeast, and how much our messages have meant to him over the years. In all that time, I have never heard from anyone saying, "I gave the idea my best shot, and it didn't work." Of course it works. It can't do anything else. Our minds are the gyro compasses of our lives. We can only go where they direct us, and we're in charge of our minds. True, the mind has depths and realms of which we know little or nothing at all. It has a way of contacting sources and racial memory that often surprises and delights us. But we're the masters of our minds, and that such innocence should be in command of so powerful an agency is an interesting subject in itself. Of course, despite its potential, it can only move as we direct it. There's hardware on the moon that we transported there, and we have spaceships traveling millions of miles into interstellar space. It all came from ideas spawned from the minds of men and women, and as researchers have recently told us, the human mind is, for all practical purposes, infinite. As infinite as space itself. And so is there any room left to doubt that we become what we think about, and that we can, if we wish, control our minds, and by so doing, control the direction and the result of our lives? Of course we can, and do, every day of our lives, whether we're conscious of the fact or not, whether we're lifting little lunch buckets or doing bigger jobs. Just as the prisons are filled with people who thought in terms of breaking the law, every human life is the story of what goes on in that person's mind. Do our lives reflect a fair and honest use of the miraculous equipment with which we were born? How much of our latent potential do we customarily use? Are we using enough? It's there for our private use, and it's the same equipment Einstein used to give us the special theory of relativity and the formula E equals mc squared that put into the hands of human beings the secret of the stars. Now, you may not be a whiz at quantum physics, I'm not either, but you have strengths, then, in areas in which Dr. Einstein was weak. What's your bag, as we used to say? Where's your main interest? And what do you want to accomplish during your stay on this beautiful blue island in space? Perhaps you're one of the people who plan to leave it and work in space stations. One of our problems, especially here in the United States, is that it's so easy to get by. We hear people say, "Why should I knock myself out?" And as they part, they call to each other, "Don't work too hard." Fine. Nothing wrong with that kind of thinking if it's in concert with your goals and your want list. We'll get into these subjects on another side, but remember that it all ties together. Don't work too hard at what? What is meant by the expression, "take it easy"? During the 60s, someone came up with an addition to that well-worn cliche. We heard, "Take it easy, but take it." It was part of the what's in it for me times, and there was all that talk about doing your own thing. But I never found out what such a person's own thing was. What doing your thing usually turned out to be was nothing at all, and plucking ineffectually at a used guitar. During that guitar time, I used to wonder how many people actually learned to play it well. Not very many, I understand, and today the attics and garages of America are full of old guitars that were the symbol of doing one's own thing. Well, I'm all for doing one's own thing. That's what I'm doing at this very moment. But find out what your thing is, and when you do, then do your thing surpassingly well as you can do it. And if you keep at it for a sufficient amount of time, and that's important too and quite necessary, you'll wake up one fine morning, as someone has written, to find yourself one of the competent people of your generation. And what wonderful experiences you'll have when that time comes.